Mention the word art, and thoughts of painting, sculpture, or music are likely to come to mind. Most of us wouldn't think of something as ordinary as a broom. But creating art comes as much from passion as it does talent and vision. Channeled through the heart and hands of a master craftsman, that passion can transform a tool used to sweep up dirt into something worthy of greater appreciation.
Inside this small building in the southwest corner of the state, day after day, a century-old family tradition is alive and thriving. It starts in the fertile farm fields of Selmer, Tennessee, and finishes in the determined and well-worked hands of Jack Martin.
There's not a day that I come out here when I walk in and I'll look at the equipment when I walk in the door and I think, I can't believe that I'm making brooms for a living. I love what I'm doing.
The common broom helps define the uncommon life's work of a man who holds history in his grip every day on his one-man assembly line.
I'm generation number 4. Will Hockaday, who built everything, number 1. Jack Hockaday, my grandfather. Mildred Hockaday, my mother, she made brooms.
For more than 100 years now, Jack's family, the Hockadays, have turned out what are clearly handcrafted works of art. Museum-quality pieces that have displayed at the Smithsonian, yet ironically and realistically, were always designed for a destiny with dust and dirt.
It was just part of the farming operation, along with having our hogs and corn and cows and that type of thing. So the broom making was just part of the whole farming operation. Never did we imagine that it was going to take the turns that it has turned in the last several years.
What's turned for most of the world is time and technology, but in Jack's broom shop, time stands still. It's like his great-grandfather never left, and that's what makes what he does now such a spectacle.
My great-granddad was kind of irritated because he wasn't making any money in the wintertime. So he found a newspaper article in a paper talking about broom making, and it showed a picture of the broom machine, talking about how you could start your own business and make money. Well, somehow he took that picture, and from many of the spare parts that we had on the farm, he built the broom equipment that I'm still using today.
Which means no automated push-a-button cookie-cutter factory line here. His brooms are born one at a time.
And we're just gonna take our time. We're just gonna easily wrap the broom corn evenly right around the handle, just feeding it right to the handle with my thumbs. Just wrapping it all the way around. And I'll just put a band around here. This kind of keeps the broom corn out of my beard when I'm working.
From there, he's off to the races with a series of steps that are now part of his everyday life.
There's just certain things that a machine cannot do like a man or a woman would do. It can't be done. To let these old-fashioned ways pass away, lace making, spinning, weaving, quilting, you can't let these things die out because we have to know where we came from. And the old ways, even though we have all this new technology, the old ways allow us to know where we came from. And to me, the importance of the old-fashioned way.
Old-fashioned but practical as ever. Still designed to sweep solidly for 6 to 10 years. The technique has a lot to do with the longevity, but the main material for these brooms is the one thing that is out of Jack's hands. Broom corn, much like sweet corn, is an annual crop.
I'll plant almost 4 acres using this one little planter. I normally plant about a 1/4 acre at a time.
Plant the seed, work the land.
I guess the hardest thing would actually be the physical aspect of harvesting the broom corn because you're out in the field in the middle of the hottest time of the year.
And by fall, you have your broom beginnings. Throughout the world, caves, cabins, castles, and kitchen floors have been touched by this piece of nature.
Our joke is it takes 5 months and 45 minutes. 5 months to grow, harvest, dry, and prepare the broom corn. Once I've got it in the shop, 45 minutes to put it on the handle. So we can normally turn out between 12 and 15 brooms a day. We make about 15 different varieties, everything from a small whisk broom, hearth brooms. A lot of folks like the traditional round brooms.
While Jack's trade is rooted in tradition, he's not afraid to put a new twist on something old.
My wife and I, we invented broomsticks. They take the place of the old-fashioned wire brush for blues and jazz. My wife was invited to sing at a Civil War reenactment, and so I actually wanted to play drums, and so they told me that if I could play drums the same way they did during the Civil War, I could play. So I found out they would use chicken bones, or they would take an old broom, tear it apart, and make it into bundles and use that to beat on the drum with.
Popular with the parents of practicing students because they aren't as loud, Jack's broomsticks have also caught on with famous drummers like
Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You can see he's got my broomsticks right there, and he's always talking about them. Even though they're not made to play rock with, we're proud that Chad loves to use them.
Jack understands that what he does is unique, but still, foremost, it's his business. It's how he pays the bills. He never set out to be any sort of artist, never gave it much thought, till the first time his wife saw him work.
That was the first thing that she said when I showed her the broom equipment. She walked into the little shed and she looked at it and we're talking about it, and the first thing she asked me, she says, "You know what this is?" And I said, "No." She says, "This is real folk art."
Those are words he still struggles to embrace.
The word folk art, in my mind, when you tell me folk art, I think of a guy out there, the blacksmith, making that, that plow. I think of the basket maker weaving that basket. I just have a different vision in my mind when I hear the word folk art.
Call it what you will, Jack Martin will just keep making his $25 brooms his way, which in his mind is the only way.
The biggest reaction is, "I can't believe you're still doing this," and you're making a living at it. And of course, it's not a big living, but everybody's idea is what they need and want is different. My needs are very minimal. We still live on the old family farm. I've got one old pickup that's 18 years old. Our needs are not that much. So for my wife and I, we're blessed to be able to get up and do what we do every day. I don't plan on ever retiring. I love what I'm doing, so I can't see myself saying, "Baby, I'm going to quit making brooms."
Jack's latest broom corn invention will help keep a musical tradition alive. It's a drumstick with a smaller handle to accommodate the traditional drummer's grip, often used by jazz musicians. And when he's not all give out from making brooms, Jack enjoys putting those broomsticks to good use, drumming for a local band.